Hey guys, oh nope, wrong place. Hey guys, it's your girl Sunshine and I'm back with another video. From the time I'm recording this, the Met Gala is about a month away. It's March 22nd and before you know it, it's gonna be May. This year's theme is Tailored for You, specifically catered and curated for Black men and the history of Black men in fashion. I think this is a very interesting theme for the Met Gala, especially celebrating and highlighting the looks of men throughout fashion. I'm honestly excited about this year's Met Gala, not gonna lie. I mean, there are just so much things to pull from and so many looks and so many styles from so many different time eras and even parts of the world and cultures. So I'm pretty excited to see not only are what the men gonna wear, but also the women. And quite frankly, the men really don't be pulling that much weight at the Met Gala compared to the women. So there's definitely no excuses this year. You definitely better be putting on your best suits, your finest, because just a suit and tie is not gonna cut it. This year's co-chairs are Anna Wintour, who is the editor-in-chief of Vogue and the host of the Met. Rapper and fashion enthusiast A$AP Rocky will co-host alongside Pharrell Williams, who is now the men's creative director for Louis Vuitton, and Oscar nominee Coleman Domingo. LeBron James is serving as an honorary chair, and being an honorary chair is basically letting your influence promote the Met, as well as showing up and showing out. This is also LeBron's first time at the Met, so this is pretty exciting for LeBron, being the first time invited to the Met. On top of that, you are an honorary co-chair. I mean, that's pretty big. Co-chairs, on the other hand, have a little bit more responsibility. Think of co-chairs as directors or assistant directors. They are involved in planning the Met, such as putting together the guest list, curating what's on the menu, and the interior design and decor for the Met. I wonder what's gonna be on the menu, y'all. Like, they definitely, what would be so cool if they have like palettes from different parts of the world, especially from like different countries in Africa and even like the Caribbean or like South American, of course, Southern cuisine. That would be so dope. Oh my goodness, y'all. Y'all, invite me to the Met, y'all, because I'm trying to eat good. I'm trying to, oh wait, no, because I know that they're having their chef, is actually of Africa, I know their chef is African and their chef is from DC. Shout out to the ZMB. But their chef is from DC. I'm gonna put the name of the chef up here, but I'm just thinking like that would be like I already know the food is gonna go crazy. I hope it does. This year's Met is inspired by Monica L. Miller's book, Slaves to Fashion, Black Dandyism and the Styling of Black Diasporic Identity. This year is exploring dandyism and celebrating Black fashion, particularly Black men in fashion. We'll touch more on this book, which is the foundation of the coming Met. Let's break down what dandyism is and why it's being paired in conjunction to Black fashion. Dandyism is prioritizing one's appearance and incorporating it into their lifestyle. Dandyism has typically been associated with men, but dandyism can extend from not just men, but also women and anyone in between. Dandyism is also a form of romanticism. Romanticism is a literary and artistic movement that prioritizes emotions and imagination over logic and reason, connection to the wilderness, glorifies the past, and transcendence. It is seen as a form of rebellion against the period of enlightenment and rationalism. So romanticism is pretty much, in a nutshell, prioritizing the one's raw, natural, primal emotions and way of being and thinking over being polished, and one has to be completely made out to be to fit within society, within the rules of society. So basically being authenticity. When I think of romanticism, I think of authenticity. I think of being instinctual, like one's instincts, because I mean, we're also talking about nature. So being able to connect and respect and having reference for nature, and nature in itself is very instinctual and listens to its instincts. And also I think of intuition. And it's just so interesting how this idea and the theme of romanticism is being paired in conjunction to black men. I oftentimes think about how black men are this idea of black men being wild, right? Having to be tamed, having to be controlled, because black men are the opposite of that, right? They're crazy, they're erratic, they're just not what white America or just white Western societies think is the appropriate way of being. I feel like this translates in a way where it's black men and black women, just black people we've been conditioned into feeling like we have to, in order to be seen as untamed, right, that we have to tone it down, that we gotta tone it down, whether it's the way we talk, whether the way we dress, just our way of expression, that is too much compared to other demographics around the world. And when it comes to fashion, I mean, let's be real, who's the real fashion steppers? Who out of any demographic around the world, who goes all the fuck out when it comes to their fashion senses? I mean, it's black people from whether it's Congo or Jamaica or good old Louisiana. We got people that will show up and show the fuck out, from church to even going to basketball games. I mean, you name it, black people, we always put that shit on. From the book, Monica Miller states, black people are known for styling out, dressing to the nines, showing their sartorial stuff, especially when the occasion calls for it, and more telling often when it does not. And that's the thing, black people, we use fashion as a way of instinct. It's instinctual how we dress, the way we style our clothes, and even how we make sure that our hairstyle is done appropriately so it matches our outfits, and vice versa. We wear certain outfits so it matches our hairstyles. I mean, just being very attentive to details and being very intentional as to what we wear and how we wear and how we style it. And of course, not every black person dresses the same, but the fact that we make sure that we put so much effort in the way we dress, we put so much effort in the way we look, and we do this because there's just so much importance as to, in a way, showing up for ourselves. I mean, given the history of racism, enslavement, colonialism, when it's as if when it's that your identity is constantly being threatened and questioned and even told that it's not good enough, right? There's going to be that battle. There's going to be that desire of trying to keep your sense of power. And I feel like in a way this manifests through fashion. I mean, when it comes to clothing, we express ourselves through clothes. Our clothes, our outfits are our representatives. So by being able to dress the way we choose, by being able to be intentional and having a relationship with our clothes, this in a way is saying, hey, I still have my own identity. I'm not going to let somebody outside of me tell me who I am. And we see this all around the world. Some key components of romanticism is this idea of rebellion. And this idea of rebellion, rebellion being rooted in this idea of knowing that you do have freedom and that there has to be a fight for freedom. And again, how this aligns with the black story, this idea of it being in conjunction to the black story, right? That we are rebellious beings. We are always rebelling, that we are rebelling against the status quo, rebelling against those that are naysayers that tell us that we can't. And I feel like we own that. And there's beauty to that, to us owning that rebellion, and instead of resenting it, we own it, right? Because when you think of rebellion, think of someone that, again, that sense of control, someone that can't be controlled. This idea of rebellion, right? Knowing that you do have freedom, knowing that there is freedom on the other side, all you have to do is just go for it, right? That you may be met with obstacles and oppositions, but your freedom is worth so much more than falling for this illusion of you are not free. You are worth nothing. You are valueless. And when it comes to fashion, we definitely see this. Every day we see Black people taking so much rebellious fashion moves, just going against the grid, going against the line. Black people wearing unconventional outfits, wearing unconventional clothes, even the way we wear our hair, very eccentric hairstyles, very eccentric colors. I mean, being able to shape shift and manipulate our hair, and one day we have braids, the next day we have a sew-in, the next day we are rocking a fucking pixie cut. I mean, just the ability to be so diverse in a way is rebellious, right? Not having to fit the mundane, not having to fit what the rest of society, especially what Western society or white people say that we have to look like, but being able to create a voice of our own to the point that other people want to emulate us. I also find it interesting how we are in a time where this conversation of AI just continues to multiply day by day. And again, dandyism is rooted in this idea of romanticism, dandyism is rooted in the ideology of romanticism, and a key component of romanticism is emotion and imagination, or emotion and intuition over reason and logic. And something that, when it comes to the conversation of artificial intelligence, is, well, what is intelligence, right? This idea of consciousness. And when talking about, well, what's the difference between artificial intelligence and the actual conscious being? Well, one thing is emotion. Do these artificial beings have emotions compared to human beings, where we do have emotions, and emotions are a form of intelligence? And then we even look at this idea of intelligence and versus consciousness, and how something can be intelligent in the sense that it was programmed, versus conscious as in it can operate on its own. So for instance, if there's a self-cleaning robot vacuum, it's programmed to clean its environment, and it's intelligent in the sense that it can clean on its own, but it's not conscious because it doesn't feel emotions. With consciousness, there's emotions, and emotions, they give us a sense of awareness of our environment, our particular experiences. How are we responding and reacting to the particular experience that us as individuals are having? Emotions are experienced at an individualistic level. Think of how two people can be a part of the same experience and they respond to it in two different ways, right? And this idea of emotions, how we process emotions in our own individualistic ways, and our relationships to certain emotions differs and varies. But from there, emotions are a universal experience to conscious beings, right? That's when we get to, I too cry, I too get sad, I too feel joy, I too get angry, right? Then we get to that I too, where then we start to connect with other conscious beings, and there's that sense of, oh, there's that universal consciousness. And I relate this to fashion because when we dress with a sense of consciousness, we dress with a sense of awareness, right? What we wear is, in a way, a reflection to our environment. It's reflective of our socio-economic status. It's reflective of the neighborhood we're in. It's even reflective of our heritage. So in a sense, our clothing, our garments, our even the way that we choose to dress is a sense of emotion. It's a reflection of our emotions. It's a way of being a representative of our emotions. And it's funny enough how within the Black community there's this talk about the stigma around Black people and being very detached or being an opposition of our emotions, not taking the time to understand and deal with them. One thing I've noticed is that throughout each generation is, even for the generations that felt like they couldn't honor their own emotions, they then transmuted that whatever they were feeling that they felt like they couldn't express, they didn't feel to express, into passion, right? They turned that feeling, whatever they felt, into passion, and they put that passion into their wardrobe. So let's say you're upset about how you're getting treated at work. You will do your best. You will put in your effort into your uniform. I mean, making sure that iron is nice and crisp and iron, making sure that that blouse is nice and tailored. I mean, being very keen to detail and being very aware of, okay, maybe emotionally I'm trying to figure things out. How can I get a sense of an outlet? And by doing this through dressing up, dressing, and in a way connecting to that inner child, right? And usually children, they're very imaginative, they're very in tune with their imagination. One thing children love to do is play dress up. They love to dress themselves up, and one day they're a princess, another day they're a firefighter, the next day they're an astronaut. But being able to tap into that imagination and honor that sense of being a child, which many Black people feel like they've been robbed of, that childhood experience, that experience of nurturing that inner child. And I can't speak for every Black person, because again, not every Black person's experience is the same, but there is that commonality of honoring that imagination, honoring that childlike wonder of, let me experiment, let me put something new, let me try something different. You know, I might get laughed at by the homies, but in a few weeks this is what everyone's going to be wearing. Black people put so much passion and we invest so much into our looks. I mean, we're so avant-garde and so flamboyant in the way we dress. Just go anywhere where there's Black people, and trust and believe me, we will show out. We will show out. Even going to the grocery stores, we make sure that, hell, someone could even argue a bonnet, right? I mean, you're not dressing up, you're not dressing out, but even a bonnet in itself is definitely a statement piece. I mean, there's just so many different exotic looking bonnets, but you put on that zebra print bonnet and the tracksuit, I mean, hey baby, that is couture right there. So tying back to consciousness and emotions, and how emotions are perceived in our own individual ways, but emotions are also a way for us to connect to other people. Just like how we put emotion into our wardrobes and what we wear, there's also that sense of, since we put emotions into what we wear, there's also that sense of connection in what we wear. Building a culture, building a tribe, building a community, being able to resonate and connect with other individuals who are also interested in the same sense of styles that we wear, or the same garments. And again, even our hair, how we wear our hair, how we style our hair. Think of the beauty salon, think of barbershops where we're able to curate these spaces for connections, being able to connect with other individuals who are invested in the way that they look. And it's not coming from a place of shallowness, because we're supposed to value our temples, we're supposed to value our bodies, we're supposed to value the way that we show up and show out. And the way we choose to, again, differs from each individual, but the ability to do so, the ability to book a hair appointment, the ability to go to a boutique on whatever street and get the latest shoes or the latest outfit, being able to come up with something completely different by even going to a local thrift stop, being able to create something totally different by going to the local thrift store, being able to connect with like-minded individuals or individuals that are also as passionate and very invested in clothing and wardrobe and attire, because again, when you look good, you feel good. So Romanticism prioritized the medieval times, also known as the Dark Ages, over the classics. The medieval times came after the fall of the Roman Empire and was before the Renaissance. Medieval times is based on European history and were from the 5th century to 15th century. Romanticism is nostalgic over aspects of the medieval times such as chivalry, respect for nature, and the supernatural, mystery, and heroism. Gothic architecture first appeared in the early 12th century and was designed to make churches larger and bring in more light. The designs included ribbed vaults, pointed arcs, stained glass, and rose windows. Gothic statues and figures were full of emotions, and this was conveyed by the figures being designed with natural poses and gestures, paying attention to natural forms and being able to replicate them. Aside from the States, there are Black people in different parts of the world, and many of these places are considered third world countries. But these places are not industrialized, making them places that are more in tune with the natural world. And since Romanticism glorifies nature and the wilderness and just the natural world as a whole, Black people in these places do value and respect nature. I mean, if you're growing up in a place where you're surrounded by nothing but nature, I mean, you have no other choice but to align with it. I think about how certain fashion choices and certain wardrobes, certain attires are made to be appropriate for particular environments. How people in the Caribbean and Africa typically wear sandals. And even here in the States, you can see a foreigner who is from Africa, for instance, some country in Africa, and they will still be wearing sandals even if it's in winter time. But that's because they've been accustomed to wearing a particular wardrobe. Seeing that tradition being carried over of I grew up in this environment where it's tropical and it's sunny 24/7. Well, not 24/7, but it's tropical and it's sunny all day long, right? And I'm in constant heat. You're always wearing sandals, and then you come over to the United States, and now you're still wearing sandals because that's what you're used to wearing, but now you have to adjust to the environment. These clothes remind me of where I'm from. These clothing remind me of back home. A quote from Miller's book reads, "These pieces of jewelry and other accessories hold within them the power of memory, of a place of autonomy as the only material retention from former lives in Africa." Now, this quote was referencing slaves who were now in America who were holding on to jewelry and different pieces of accessory that they had in a way of maintaining a sense of power since they were stripped away from their homeland in Africa. But I use this quote in pairing to this idea of still wearing sandals even though you are now in New York City in the middle of winter, because it's still rooted in this idea of home, this idea of power. And granted, not every African person that moves outside of Africa is going to wear sandals. To them, there's that sense of comfort. There's that sense of, this reminds me of home. And I'm pretty sure, and I hope so, that most of them can afford at least a pair of shoes that can adjust to the environment that they're in. But again, it's because it's rooted in the sense of home. It's rooted in the sense of identity, right? Being able to hold on to these sandals is a way of holding into your identity, and our identity is our sense of power. So let's recapitulate the book, shall we? Dandyism was imposed on black men in 18th century Europe as the Atlantic slave trade and emerging culture of consumerism created a trend of fashionably dressed or dandified servants. In other words, dandyism was used as a medium to transform the image and narrative of black men. Black men were, and still do, use clothing as their visual representative, and nurturing their style and appearance was a byproduct from using clothes to express their sovereignty. If you're being taught that you're a slave and you're under the ownership of another person, you're stripped away of your identity and given a new one from someone that's trying to control you or oppress you. There's a battle within yourself of knowing who you are and remaining in your power when a force outside of you is trying to strip that away from you. And something that's also interesting is that dandyism was actually forced upon slaves, but aside from conforming to this idea of dressing in a particular way to survive in a Western civilization, black people took what they were given and put their own spin on it in a way to transform what was meant in a way to confine and erase the history of black people into a way of actually owning their identity, of black people owning their identity and making it into their own. There's this conversation of finding a sense of autonomy and self-power through clothing, being able to have this sense of, or this knowing of self-power, self-empowerment through the way we dress, through the way we show up. For generations, black people, the black diaspora, were constantly being told and were being sold this idea, this story, this narrative that they weren't good enough, that they weren't powerful, that they were either owned by other human beings or that they had nothing of value, which we know to be completely untrue. But still through that, black people still found a way to find some sense of ownership. And maybe if they couldn't say it verbally, they did it subtly. They did it through their clothes. They did it by what they wore. They did it by how they dressed. From being able to dress to the nines by going to church, right? Being able to find that one day out of the week to dress up while going to church and finding a place of peace and comfort, a sense of community, or by being able to, during tribal celebrations, right? This is even during colonialism, still finding a way to wear traditional attire and still keeping that traditional clothing in through ceremonies and through practices to keep the roots in place, to keep the roots embedded in ground, so that there is still that idea of, or so that there is this reminder of this is who we are, because we're the ones that are wearing these clothes, we are the ones that are giving meaning to these clothing and not the other way around. Let's take a journey to different time periods and let's see what black people were wearing throughout then. Fun fact, Lil' Kim was the first hip-hop star to be invited to the Met Gala. Hip-hop is extremely influential in the world of fashion. Early hip-hop fashion was inspired by sportswear and urban streetwear. Tracksuits and sneakers were really popular in the 70s and 80s hip-hop fashion scene. Adidas was a popular brand worn and sponsored by artists such as Run DMC. Run DMC were the first rappers to wear streetwear on stage. They were also the first non-athletes to get a deal with an activewear line, which was Adidas. This tradition of artists being in collaboration with activewear brands is still in effect. For instance, there was Kanye partnering up with Adidas for Yeezy, Beyonce partnering up with Adidas as well for Ivy Park, and Rihanna in collaboration with Puma. Rappers shouting out brands in their songs or wearing them in their music videos are a way of giving them promotion and credibility. For example, Snoop Dogg is the first rapper credited to be publicly spotted in Tommy Hilfiger. Singer and rapper Aaliyah was known for wearing Tommy Hilfiger, and she even did fashion campaigns with them. In the 90s, rappers launched their own brands with the intentions of creating Black-owned businesses such as FUBU, which is For Us, By Us. Although she was not a rapper, model Kimora Lee Simmons launched her own brand, Baby Fat, which was very popular among women rappers and artists, as well as models or vixens that starred in hip-hop music videos. Virgil Abloh is known for his influence in the hip-hop fashion space. He is the founder of the brand Off-White and was the creative director of Louis Vuitton menswear. Hip-hop artists influenced what the public wore, but a lot of artists were inspired from the culture of where they originated. In the 80s, Dapper Dan was a designer that upcycled expensive branded clothes and accessories into completely different flashy garments. This inspired logomania. Logomania is common across hip-hop fashion, with artists wearing clothing with big logo prints. Dapper Dan states, "When I was growing up, if you had diamonds and furs, that gave you clout. So when the big fashion brands began to come out, I noticed how people gravitated towards them, and that what identified these brands was their logo." Given that logos and names of brands were seen as equivalent to diamonds and minks, this sparked the fixation people have with logos and big name brands, since they represent quality, being expensive and thus having some means to have expensive things, and exclusivity. A lot of rappers came from underprivileged backgrounds, especially at the start of hip-hop. Black artists being in places of luxury act as inspiration for Black people living in poverty, showing them that reaching these spaces are obtainable. In her book, Miller states, "The accumulation of objects of personal adornment and the nature of their display mattered to materially deprived African captives." Rappers and those that look up to rappers finding satisfaction in the material is symbolic of those that were enslaved and ripped away from their belongings, which were a reflection of their identity. The desire to feel secure within oneself manifests into obtaining material goods, especially items that are deemed unobtainable. Acrylic nails were created in the States in 1954, and they started being offered in nail salons in the 70s. Acrylic nails became popular in the disco scene, and they remain popular and have become a staple in the aesthetics of Black women especially. Popular ways of having acrylics are by having the nails long or with intricate and unique designs, or both. Dating back to 4th century Africa, hoop earrings have been a symbol of power. Hoop earrings are known for their distinctive look of being big, chunky, gold, or blingy. They are really popular in streetwear, and they draw a lot of attention to the face. Josephine Baker, the multifaceted jazz singer, spy, and activist, is known for her signature hoop earrings. Hoop earrings became widely popular in the States during the 70s, during the disco era, and peaked in the 90s and early 2000s. The early 2000s is known for the oversized jersey and baggy pants, as well as subtleties such as grills and tattoos, snapbacks over do-rags or bandanas, tank top over t-shirts, bedazzled and bling clothing and accessories, and let's not forget the spray-painted tops. As with every decade, fashion still continues to be experimental and transformational. Thanks to social media, we see the boundaries of fashion dissolving. This manifests in ways such as the Y2K trend, where people wore garments that were directly from the early 2000s or resemble looks from the early 2000s. There's also the opium style, where artists like Playboi Carti, Ken Carson, Lil Uzi, and even JT, who has now transitioned into this, are the face of. The opium style accompanies the alternative rap subgenre punk rap. A simple way to describe opium style is that it is a mix of metal and punk and urban. Garments are typically black, but other colors can be incorporated in the outfits. Some brands popular among this style are Rick Owens and Chrome Hearts. Streetwear still runs the show, but with a twist. More people are open to experimenting by blurring boundaries with gender roles. Men are getting manicures and wearing skirts, while women are wearing full suits. People are mixing bold patterns together, such as wearing camo with cheetah print and pairing garments in unconventional ways, such as wearing tutus over sweatpants. People are finding unique ways to experiment and bring a new flavor to fashion by bringing avant-garde runway looks into everyday wear. Let's take it to the motherland. In Congo, Congolese dandies are known as la sape, which is French and the abbreviation of Société des Ambitieux et des Personnes Élégantes, which means Society of Ambience Makers and Elegant People. Tailored suits are their typical choice of wear, and they add personalized accessories to amp up their look, such as pipes and canes. Suits can be traced back to European colonialism, where Europeans gave suits to Africans who aided in the trafficking of other Africans to become slaves. Les Sapes are artists and visionaires. Despite some of the sapeurs living in poverty, they still dress to the nines and make it a mission to dress exquisitely. Not only will they wear known brands such as Dolce & Gabbana, but they will wear clothing that is eccentric and unique to symbolize their unique and eccentric personalities. They parade around town showing off their well-assembled fits. They often prance around town with other sapeurs they formed a community with. Here are some of my predictions for what we'll see at the Met Gala. And obviously we're going to be seeing people in suits and ties and even throwbacks like from the 70s and the early 2000s. But here are some more specific things or specific predictions that I think we might see at this year's Met Gala. For one, I think A$AP Rocky might be a knight. During the Middle Ages, there was a new method of warfare, which was a gun. And wasn't A$AP just on trial for gun charges? So we might see A$AP, being a little chivalry, doing some chivalry with Riri, Rihanna might be a princess, and he'll be in knight in shining armor, okay? All night out. So we might see A$AP as a knight. Jocelyn Hernandez in goth attire. Our girl Jocelyn has been buzzing around in the entertainment streets. So I can see my good sis in some good gothic attire, Give us some aurora, give us some flair, but not too much in a way where it meets goth meets culture, goth meets couture. Jocelyn, goth meets couture. Let's see. Okay, this one, I see someone coming, mainly a black man, but I definitely see someone wearing some attire that alludes to the idea or the message of black men cry too. Now, see, this is why y'all need to hire me on y'all styling team, creative director, because look, somebody's gonna have some fake tears coming down their face, right? They're gonna have fake tears on their face. Then they're gonna be wearing a do-rag, like a blue do-rag. It could be like a nice silky do-rag or velvet do-rag, maybe even a bedazzled do-rag, but just a blue do-rag. Then they're gonna be wearing a suit. Then on the suit is gonna be with the words embroidered on the back of the suit saying, "Black men cry too." And the do-rag is not going to be too long, so that way we can read the words written on the back of the suit. Then there might even be like on the handkerchief an image of a black child crying. He's gonna pull it out and be like, put it back in. Somebody gonna come with the statement piece of "Black men cry too." I'm telling you. Watch out for the tears. Watch out for the tears and the black men cry too. Hey, you heard it here first. Black men cry too. They do. They really do. This one is touching more so on the theme and the set design of the Met, but we definitely could be seeing some church allusion to church. I know that the church is very big within the black community, so I would not at all be surprised to see anything in the set, well, not set, but in the design of the Met Gala of there being reference to the church, especially like gothic windows, right? We got the gothic stained glass rose windows, so we definitely could be seeing some stuff like that. In addition to the church thing, we could definitely even be seeing some Garden of Eden, right? Some Genesis going on, Genesis, Garden of Eden. They say life started in Africa, so why not? Have some homage to the oldest people. I think we could see some Garden of Eden and this idea of being in this paradise, right? Connecting fashion and the love of fashion to paradise, and even fashion to consciousness, right? That there's this sense of being conscious and conscious of what we're wearing, and connecting fashion to our identity. We could also be seeing a Nike and Adidas collaboration. We could definitely be seeing some celebrities who will be walking on the carpet wearing garments that are in partnership with Adidas or Nike, since these are some very big brands that still are connected to a lot of black artists and black artists who have fashion brands. So we could be seeing some Nike and some Adidas on the Met carpet. This was a little bit more specific, but some Diana Ross inspo. I mean, come on, Diana Ross was the diva of the 70s and the 80s. This woman ran the 70s and the 80s. Well, she was one of the people that ran the 70s and the 80s when it comes to iconic looks. So we could definitely be seeing some Diana Ross inspo. I mean, Tracy, nudge, nudge. You gonna come dressing up as one of your mama's iconic looks? And this was a little bit obvious, but since romanticism touches on nostalgia, we're definitely going to be seeing some nostalgic looks, some nostalgic favorites. I mean, I'm already seeing the early 2000s baggy jeans and the jerseys and the caps and the bandanas. I mean, I'm already seeing it, right? And then the gold chains. I mean, come on, like, I'm already seeing it. And then we could definitely be seeing some brands like Baby Phat and Fubu also making a comeback. I mean, shout out to these black-owned brands. So what better way to have reverence for these brands, and let alone black-owned brands, at an event that is celebrating black people in fashion, than to wear some Baby Phat or Fubu. I mean, come on, who is Kimora gonna be there too? Is Kimora girl, you gonna be at the Met? Let me know. Just hit me up after you watch this video. But we could definitely be seeing some Fubu and Baby Phat on the Met carpet, but no brainer, we're definitely going to be seeing some throwback favorite looks. The looks that just stand out to me is the early 2000s. I mean, we're going to be seeing some throwbacks. We could even see some homage to Ann Lo, who is recognized as the first known black fashion designers. Ann Lo was a fashion designer, seamstress, and she created elegant gowns for the elite. Alright, y'all, I really hope you enjoyed this piece. I definitely did my best to do a lot of research before I made this video. I did not want this to be a word salad video where I'm just talking about a bunch of nothing and something that's just so like, okay, obviously. But yeah, I'm really excited for the Met Gala. I'm really excited to see what looks are gonna be there, who's gonna be at the Met, and just how people are gonna be storytelling. What stories are people gonna be telling through their attire, through their wardrobe? In her book, Miller says, styling out, like any performative act, needs an actor and an audience. So let's see y'all style out this May. What are y'all gonna be wearing? What performance, what story are you guys gonna be telling us, the audience, us, the viewers? Are we gonna be seeing Black Men Don't Cry? Are we gonna be taking back in time to the 2000s or the 70s or the 1800s? What stories and messages are going to be conveyed through these clothing? Better yet, what identities are going to be highlighted and empowered through these wardrobes and attires? I'm pretty excited for this year's Met, y'all, and I know you guys are too. In the meantime, make sure to stay fly, never be dry, and always be fierce. I know I'll be doing so, and you'll also definitely be seeing more of me. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.